I'm on a quest to beat and rate every single PlayStation 2 RPG, TRPG, action RPG, and everything in between. I'll also be giving each game an overall rating and comparing it to the other completed titles. If you want to see my full playthrough, check out my second channel, Low Cloud Aim Gameplay. Now let's get started. Lightning in a bottle. It's a phrase used to describe a creative phenomenon when a piece of media of some kind manages to surpass all expectations, like catching lightning in a bottle. It has a dual meaning as well though, because it also refers to the idea that though you did it once, it's near impossible to do it again. I think this perfectly describes the Disgaea series. We're now on the 7th title of Disgaea, and it would seem that Nippon Ichi is still trying to accomplish what they did with their very first game, Disgaea Hour of Darkness. And having recently completed this game for the 3rd or 4th time, I can see why that is such a challenge. So let's jump into my review of this beloved gem of gaming history. If you enjoy these retrospectives and would like to support this channel, click on the link below to join my Patreon for only $1 a month. I post Patreon exclusive videos each month as well as early access to all of my normal videos. Also, if you would like to see a spreadsheet of every game I've completed with their associated scores, as well as every title I plan on beating for the challenge, I've linked that in the description as well. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's dive into some things I liked and some things I did not like about Disgaea Hour of Darkness. Disgaea, like I said, was a bit of a phenomenon when it came out. No strategy game aside from Final Fantasy Tactics had really gotten the buzz this title did. It got raving reviews and was often cited as the best game you never played. Sales might not have been high compared to other titles on the PS2, but they were astronomically high for the small dev shop Nippon Ichi. Because of its popularity, not only has the game been given 6 sequels since, but Disgaea 1 has seen multiple re-releases with additional content. This includes a PSP version called Afternoon of Darkness, as well as PC and DS versions called, well, Disgaea PC and Disgaea DS. The final definitive edition, and the one I played, is Disgaea Complete, which is out for all modern consoles. This has improved graphics, some slight gameplay tweaks, and all previous content rolled up into one. Like I've said before, I can play remasters of these titles, just not remakes, and Disgaea Complete is the only way to play this game in my opinion. So with that out of the way, what makes Disgaea so special? Well, this is a bit of a complicated question that I think I'll split into 3 answers. Put simply, one is the gameplay, the other is the plot, and the final answer is its identity. Now, I would say that though Disgaea's unique take on grid-based tactical gameplay is interesting, I think that future games have improved on this to a point where I'm comfortable to admit that it's not the best in the series. The identity and narrative are where future titles have either clung too tight to nostalgia, or just straight up have failed to surpass the original, or heck, even match it. The story of Disgaea is surprisingly tight and gripping, with emotional gut punches you don't anticipate. How they manage to pull this off is by using a fascinating subversion. Disgaea's narrative revolves around a single event, and that is the death of the overlord of the Netherworld. The Netherworld is the world of demons and is ruled by the strongest demon. Our main protagonist, Laharl, is woken up by his vassal Etna and is told his father is dead. Laharl sees this as his chance to take his rightful place as ruler and sets off to reclaim his father's kingdom. Later, an angel named Flan is sent from heaven to assassinate Laharl. She fails in this mission, but decides to stick around as she feels that Laharl has true love in his heart. The story here is bonkers. One of the first missions you go on is to battle a demon claiming to be the overlord named Vyres, or as he puts it,
"My name is the Dark Adonis."
This boss battle stands as the player's first skill check, and if you lose, you actually get one of the game's endings, which is hilarious. After beating Vyres, Laharl renames him Mid-Boss, which will never not be funny. Another chapter has you chasing after a vampire who is blackmailing Laharl with an embarrassing photo. He uses the power of optimism and Laharl's weakness to women with large breasts to subdue him.
Laharl, why are you screaming?
I don't know why, but for some apparent reason I can't stand women with sexy bodies. On a side note, flat-chested girls like you have absolutely no effect on me.
Well, excuse us for being flat.
This story is so ridiculous that you find out Laharl's dad, the overlord of all of the Netherworld, died by choking on a pretzel. At least that's what we're told. The entire plot is based around silly situations like this. For example, one chapter, Laharl purposely puts out a challenge for the seat of Overlord, claiming that this will ensure his spot as he can take out any challengers who oppose him. One of the first challengers ends up being the Prinnies. These little penguin dudes are the lowest life form of the Netherworld. They're so expendable that if you throw them in battle, they just explode. Anyway, they challenge Laharl to a baseball game. Vyers, or mid-boss, which is one of the best running jokes in Disgaea, challenges Laharl once more and loses. You even fight a washed-up Prism Ranger, which is amazing. The first sign that there's more to this story than boob jokes and stupid situations is when Flan, the angel, loses her pendant. The pendant is used to keep her alive while in the Netherworld, and without it, she'll die. Laharl is reluctant to help until she claims she'll give him a prize if he does. The group tracks down the pendant, which falls into lava. Laharl, against everything we know about his character, dives in after it. This catches the player off guard because up to this point he's been a selfish narcissist who only thinks about himself. He claims it burns his hand and says that it must be the evil in his heart. Also, this is Flan's prize to Laharl.
Do I have to spell it out? The reward! Give me the something good you promised me.
Oh, that. I already gave it to you.
What?
Put your hand to your heart. Can you feel it? The warmth. You faced great danger to find this pendant. You pretend to be only evil, but there is definitely kindness in your heart. To give you the opportunity to realize that kindness, that is my reward for you.
Are you insane? How can you say something so crazy?
Now after this incident, the story continues forward with its silly plot until chapter 8, which ends up being one of the biggest emotional gut punches. Remember the Prinnies? Well, Flan wakes up to find many of them leaving the castle. Laharl, angry that the lowest members of the kingdom are leaving him, decides to go after them, seeing it as an embarrassment. This is where Big Sis is introduced, a Prinnie who doesn't speak like the rest and joins Laharl to help him return the Prinnies. Up to this point, Flan has been adamant that Laharl has love in his heart, but he consistently disagrees. As they reach the place where the Prinnies are, they find that they are, I don't know, I think their souls are being freed or something. It's here where Disgaea pulls a fast one on you, and you learn that Big Sis Prinnie is actually Laharl's mother. In order to save his life, she gave up her own, being turned into a Prinnie. The emotion here was palpable, and Laharl's rather muted response makes it all the more pungent.
Alright, pause for a second. I just showed my wife the video, and she pointed out that I did not mention whether I liked the story or not. I tend to get a little too analytical sometimes, but my subjective opinion is that the story is amazing. I loved all the funny, weird, and wacky parts, as well as all the emotional punches. If it's not evident, I both think logically the story of Disgaea is amazing, and personally I think it's amazing as well. Back to the video.
The narrative is perfectly wrapped up with this game's good ending. This is a major spoiler, so if you want to skip ahead, go to the time on the screen. Anyway, the game culminates in Laharl, Flan, and Etna having to fight the angel who originally sent Flan to assassinate Laharl. If you killed any of your party members in battle even once, then the good ending of the game won't be available to you. But if you didn't do this, Flan, who feels she must obey this angel, is transformed into a flower. Before doing so, she hands Laharl her pendant, which doesn't burn him, showing that his heart isn't evil. Laharl, in a fit of rage, attacks the angel and defeats him, but stops short of killing him. It's here where one of the biggest reveals in the game takes place. Mid-boss and a mysterious woman show up, and you find out that the angel and the previous overlord, Laharl's father, who is mid-boss, worked together to help Laharl learn how to be a good overlord. They return Flan to her original state, well, kind of, she's actually a fallen angel now, and say their goodbyes. I love how it's never explicitly stated that this is Laharl's father and mother. The player is just left to put the pieces together, though it is incredibly obvious at this point. Disgaea's writing is ingenious. Using non-stop humor, the player is tricked into letting their guard down. After lulling you into a state of comfort, the writers hit you with an emotional reveal you didn't realize was being set up the whole time. Laharl and the pendant, the Prinnies and Laharl's mother, Even the ridiculous protector of Earth, Gordon, and his busty assistant have a touching moment. The subversion of my expectations using the perfect mix of humor and emotions really caught me off guard. It's really a stroke of genius, and one of the 2 reasons why I think Disgaea Hour of Darkness has been impossible to replicate. The other reason why I think Disgaea is the proverbial lightning in a bottle is its identity. For those who have followed Nipponichi and NIS, you know that the identity established in Disgaea now permeates all other games made by this developer. From the art style to the character design, world building, and even game mechanics. There is nothing like a Nipponichi game, and Disgaea, along with La Pucelle Tactics and the Rhapsody series, helped establish it. It's hard to explain what this identity actually is. Saying it's anime and calling it a day would be a disservice. Also, calling it a kid's game would be both wrong and childish in itself. Disgaea's identity is rooted in the designs of Takahito Hirata, the undeniable charm of his character design, from Laharo's boyish playfulness to Etna's prepubescent succubus attire, all the way to the different monsters. All of it is made with such consideration and confidence that you can't help but be pulled in by the world Nipponichi and Hirata created. They managed to mix gothic, sci-fi, and neo-modernism all together to create what I think is one of the better settings in PS2 RPGs. Now, like I mentioned, there are 3 reasons why Disgaea is loved to this day, which would be the plot, its identity, and finally its gameplay. This is the area where I feel every sequel after Hour of Darkness has improved on. But Disgaea laid a near-perfect foundation. Grid-based tactical RPGs have often been seen as a slow burn. I saw this firsthand in Stella Deus, which was a good game, but the battles were slow and could take upwards of 30 to 40 minutes. Disgaea's developers, who have gone on to define this genre's mechanics, seem to approach tactical gameplay from the position of, what if everything was over the top and fast? This is evident in 2 key features. The first is the execute command. Instead of a turn order, you and the opponent take turns commanding your group of fighters. Each player can move and perform a single act, but the turn order is up to the player. At any point, the player can hit execute, and any party member who has been given a command will act in the order they were given it. This doesn't actually end your turn though, as you can then give any other party member who hasn't acted a command and execute it afterwards. The enemy's turn happens all at once, which is fantastic. The execute system gives the player such a sense of control and allows battles to flow efficiently. The second reason for the battle system's success is the ability to skip any animations, allowing fights to feel quick and snappy. There are a dozen more ways that Disgaea changed up the formula of the tactical RPG, like geopanels, throwing allies and enemies, and the item world, but the most notorious was its gameplay balance. When I talk about breaking a game, I'm usually referring to being overpowered, so don't get that confused with an actual broken game where the mechanics don't work. Anyway, Disgaea not only is a broken game in the former sense, but is intentionally built that way. There are so many ways to become overpowered, and the player is constantly pushed towards these avenues. For example, midway through Chapter 5, you come upon this map, the one with the big boob succubus and cat ladies. Here, every tile on the map, except for one, gives the player invulnerability. This means that you must push the enemy into the far corner before taking them out. The throw mechanic becomes pivotal here as it allows you to control which panel the enemy is on. But if you happen to throw 2 enemies together, you'll notice that they become one much stronger unit. Throw all of the enemies together into one high-level character, place them in the only vulnerable tile, and slowly whittle down their life, and you can increase your level by 10 each time. Another way to break the game is via the statistician attribute. You see, each equipable item holds these attributes, and if you play through the first 10 levels of its item world, you can increase that attribute's potency as well as combine it with other items. The statistician increases the amount of XP you receive in battle, and can easily be leveled to the point where you're getting double, triple, or even quadruple the amount of XP. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Disgaea, you may be scratching your head right now, and yes, you would be right. If these tactics are followed, it absolutely decimates the main story's difficulty. For this playthrough, I opted to just beat it with just Laharo. I just take my insanely overleveled overlord, drop him in the middle of the map, and watch him mow down the competition. Here was my battle with the final boss. But this is where the absolute genius of Disgaea's difficulty balance comes into play. I stated in my RPGs, A Guide to the Genre video, which you can watch after this, that Disgaea is a perfect jumping in point for those interested in the genre. This is because the flags for breaking this title aren't entirely obvious, and if ignored, the player will get to experience a challenging main campaign. But for those who are more advanced players, Disgaea has a sprawling, nearly endless endgame for you to discover with challenging maps and incredibly difficult boss fights. There's also a dozen hidden characters to unlock as well. All of this is separate from the main game's storyline and can be participated in both during and after its conclusion. Now, I didn't go through the post-game as it requires an ungodly amount of grinding, but this choice wasn't made because I wasn't having fun. It was more just practical, as players have sunk hundreds of hours into this title. Now, I've given nothing but praise to Disgaea, but there are some faults here I should point out. First of all, breaking the game sounds fun, but really makes your playthrough kinda boring. A lot of us think a power fantasy in a game will be engaging, but without the right balance, it often leads to monotony. This is a major issue in Disgaea. The game almost expects you to self-regulate your progression, which is hard for a player to realize without overdoing it. The endgame is disbalanced in the complete opposite direction though, creating insane difficulty spikes that can pause your progression for hours while you grind your way to the required levels. All in all, it's not the most intuitive method of progression and power scaling, which can lead to disinterest. Another small gripe I have is with the music. It is fitting, and I feel that the composer, Tenpei Sato, really captured the feel of the title's themes. But yeah, imagine listening to this for an hour and tell me that it wouldn't slowly degrade your sanity. Not all music is like this, but the songs that play in the hub world and during battle can be tiresome. I've said this before, but VGM, for the most part, unless it's meant to provoke emotions in the player, should dissolve into the background. Disgaea's music did not do this. Disgaea may be the best tactical RPG to come out on the PS2. I guess we'll see. Its character design, world, clever use of comedy to subvert the player's expectations, and revolutionary approach to the tactical genre make it one of the best games to be released on the system. Had they found a better way to balance out the game, I think Disgaea Hour of Darkness could have been near perfect. And that's my review. What do you think of this title? Do you share my opinions? Did I undervalue its additional mechanics, or perhaps I overstated the effectiveness of its story? Let me know in the comments below. Also, this video was brought to you by our sponsor, me. And if you would like to support that sponsor, please head over to Patreon and pledge $1 a month to my cause. Let's beat every PS2 RPG together. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.